Welcome to the Millennial Sandwich, a space for real conversations about millennials in the middle, not just of our own lives, but also of a caregiving sandwich. I'm Dr. Anita Chandra, a geriatrician and expert in elder care.
And I'm Zara Hanawalt, a parenting journalist and expert in American motherhood. And even we don't have all the answers. Join us as we figure out life in the middle.
Welcome to the Millennial Sandwich. That's actually the most formal introduction you'll get to the sandwich generation because you're probably already in it and did not get introduced formally. So here we are.
And in case you're wondering who these two random ladies who are talking to you are, we are going to introduce each other because we've been friends for like 26 years now. So we feel qualified to tell you about the other one.
All right. I guess I can go first. So I've known Zara for a long time. How would I introduce you, or how would I describe you, Zara? First, I would say Zara is a twin mom. She is an excellent mom, and she is also a master of journalism. Is that an accurate description? And actually, Zara's been writing about motherhood and American motherhood culture and parenting and fertility and everything related to that space for a lot longer than she's been a mom. So yeah, she knows what she's talking about. And if you read any parenting article in a big magazine or online, I don't know if people read magazines anymore? I don't know. Online, if you've read articles, Zara probably wrote something you read.
And Anita is a mom of a boy and a girl. She is an excellent mom as well and an excellent daughter. She is an eldest daughter, kind of the prototype. She is casually a doctor and also an event planner, which, if you've never heard anything more millennial than that, same. And she is an enthusiast of 90s TV, like I am as well. You would call yourself an extrovert, right?
Yeah.
She has a lot of friends.
I do have a big social circle, but I do get drained a lot, we'll get into that.
Yes. And yeah, she takes care of people professionally and personally in her real life as well.
Yeah. It's funny that I didn't even mention the daughter part of it, which happens all the time, don't you think? We all talk about our motherhood and our careers or whatever we're doing, but don't really talk about the daughterhood of it all. And we're going to talk about daughtering a lot. So yes, actually our parents knew each other before we did. So we've been friends for 26 years, but we've known each other for, I don't need to say, a lot longer since we were babies.
Isn't it so weird that we've known each other for 26 years, but we're also only 26?
It's so crazy. I don't know how that happened. We look the same. Well, actually,
no, we don't look the same. We look better.
Yeah, that's true. Us particularly, we definitely, you don't need to, I guess we can describe each other in middle school when we first met. I think some of the ways I would describe you, Zara, are still the same, but also so many things that would be different. Zara was a theater kid. That's how we met. Big surprise. We were both nerdy theater kids. And yeah, I think even as an 11-year-old, I remember you as in the context. I mean, maybe that's true for like all of us. I remember you in the context of your parents and the way they just loved you. They obviously still love you, but that was like a big part of how I remember you, is like your parents are obsessed with you in the best way.
Yeah, I think you can sum it up by just saying that the main character syndrome is really strong, thanks to my parents.
But, and the other way too, you just loved your parents so much. We spent so much time in your house. And yeah, we had so much fun laughing together. We had a lot of sleepovers, watched movies like A Walk to Remember together. So really pivotal moments in our life. We watched a lot of American Idol. And yeah, I think like that kind of sums up my memory of you as I think you were a lot louder and more extroverted as a middle schooler than you are now. Would you say that's
Probably? Yeah, probably. I definitely think motherhood made me more introverted, which I think is like a lot of people can probably relate to. I hope you don't get in trouble for this, but my middle school memory of you is that you would bring like really dark red lipstick and powder in your backpack and like quickly put on your face.
The blue limited to
The
eyeshadow.
blue CoverGirl eyeshadow that every girl had in the 90s. And like that's such a part of being a 90s kid that I feel like is disappearing now is we were so awkward because we didn't have YouTube tutorials and we didn't have like skincare regimens and all the things that these girls have these days. And honestly, I would take how we grew up, I think. And I'm kind of sad that our daughters probably won't get to experience that.
Yeah, there was a lot of, looking at magazines for what I was supposed to be doing with makeup, but I don't think anyone told me to put blue eyeshadow on my eyelids, and there was, like, a big I mean, I was not allowed to be doing that, so I would wash it off before going home every day. I had, like, a whole change of clothes too, and I, like, I'm we're both first generation
Hmm.
Indian women. And kid, I like went to school with a braid and I had to tell do you know how many times I told my mom that there was a lice check at school? Because I took my hair out, I came home without my like braid put up in a ribbon so many times. And she was like, "Oh wow, there must be like a real bad lice problem at the school." I don't know. Maybe that please tell me that's not just me. I just wanted to fit in and I didn't. I don't think either of us did for quite some
We most certainly did not. And like I think that's like a very common woman of color experience too, right? Is like we grew up when these beauty standards were incredibly Eurocentric. They still are, but they were definitely a lot more when we were growing up. And so, like, we just didn't fit in. But I think the benefit of that is like your glow up comes in really, really hard and fast when
yeah.
you enter adulthood. So, we are reporting from the other side of that.
Yes. And is would you say that your life, just at, like, late 30s, early 40s, did you envision it to look and feel like this?
No. No, I mean, I think that every generation, I'm sure, feels a little bit lied to, but I think millennials were especially lied to because, we grew up when America was in its prosperity era, basically, right? Like we grew up in this time of economic boom and I mean, not peace globally, but like relative peace compared to what we're dealing with now. So I think the backdrop is just vastly different. And then, I mean, many of us didn't grow up seeing parents who were juggling multi generational care. And many of us are juggling multi generational care. The statistics about the sandwich generation are pretty clear, and we'll get into that down the line. But this is definitely a millennial issue that we are facing, where millennials are inheriting this world that is very, very rapidly changing and very unlike the one we grew up in. So yeah, I did not think that I would be thinking about talking to my children about death at the same time as I'm thinking about what someone is telling me on social media. It's like when people say like I didn't think that I would be dealing with wrinkles and acne at the same time, that's how I feel. Not literally because like thankful for my melanin and my Indian genes, but that I just feel like you're constantly caught between feeling like a teenager and feeling like you have the responsibilities of someone much older. What do you think?
I didn't expect to feel so stretched thin. I feel like
Mhm.
we heard so much growing up. You just need to work hard and do everything you're supposed to do to achieve your dreams, and once you get there, everything will be so easy, and it looks like how it does on every TV show we watched. I just did not expect to feel so tired is not even the right word. It's
Mhm.
just this tired times 100, like, in my bones, feeling like I am never doing enough, doing the right thing. There's just so much of that I didn't realize I would feel every day. And some of that too is in medical training, there's so much of well, when you get to the next phase, it's such a clear path. So it's like, okay, once I get into med school, then I can exhale. All right, once I match into residency, it'll be so much better. After intern year, it's so much better. Okay, when you're an attending, then you're like, you're done. You're done. You can enjoy your life. You can enjoy, traveling and your family. I'm 7 years out of residency, full grown up doctor. And I do not feel like that at all. I still feel like there's so much that I'm like, what's next? And how do I still feel like why am I always feeling like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing or that I need to be doing 10,000 things that I don't even know where to start. I guess you start a podcast. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, and I mean, we both grew up with cardiologist dads, and then your mom was also a physician, is a physician. But I feel like the way our dads and your mom viewed work is like the perfect exemplification of growing up in the 90s versus being an adult right now is like they loved their work and they felt a lot of peace and they didn't have like this existential dread about waking up every day and going to work. Whereas I don't think I know a single millennial who doesn't have some of that.
I'm gonna counter that a little bit because I think my dad, for example, definitely their whole generation, at least in medicine, it was all about how to get to the top in terms of being the most productive.
Yeah.
Definitely different than I think how we view a successful life and career. The concept of work life balance just was not. I'm a geriatrician. We do not make a lot of money in terms of the medical spectrum of specialties. Nobody goes into geriatrics to make money. So even explaining to my parents that I wanted to do geriatrics because it made me happy and I was fulfilled and am fulfilled by my patients and the difference I'm making in their lives and their children's lives. It all went back to like, what about the money? How will you show that you're successful? And my dad, I guess my dad is my ride or die. He chose die. Maybe that's a little too dark for the first episode, but that's uh, my dad died suddenly at 65. He was still working as a cardiologist, but he was like, I'm not ready to retire because I want to pay
Mhm.
for this. And I think I could make this much money in this many years and then we can enjoy our life. Well, no, it's not. That's not how it works. Unfortunately, I think that I had been trying to explain that concept to him. Like, why don't you just enjoy your life now? Now, as a, like, that is so different than how we
Yeah.
talk about what it means to be successful.
That's really interesting because my dad was like, I think my dad would have worked for free. He just absolutely loved it. And that was like his identity was being a doctor. I think there's also a difference too because my mom was a stay at home mom. So I think there was just like a different sort of compartmentalization in my household. But yeah, like I don't know if people had this kind of like, am I doing the right thing feeling
Yeah.
every single day that we
Certainly
millennials
not with
feel.
parenting. Like,
Yeah.
that 100% was not a thing the way it is. We have so much to say about this, but
Yeah.
the way we talk about parenting in terms of the fact that we know different parenting styles and terms and the way we talk to our children, the fact that we talk to our children is new. It's just new. It's not that there's like so many different ways that we're putting pressure on ourselves that didn't exist. So, yeah, it's not at all how
Yeah.
this would feel like.
My mom actually just a few days ago was telling me, you guys are so lucky because when we were parenting, we didn't have the internet and we didn't have all this information and we didn't have anywhere to turn. And you guys have so much of that. And I never want to invalidate that experience because I'm sure that was really hard in a way. But also, I think what people don't understand is it's incredibly hard to have this much information and to parent with this many voices coming at you, especially with the delivery of information on social media. It's incredibly, incredibly emotionally and mentally draining to be thinking about how you parent 24/7. Obviously, my lens is a little bit different because I do this professionally too, but I feel like there is not a single point in my day where I'm not thinking about care work either for my
Yeah.
kids or for my and I'm
And
sh
it's impossible to not compare with everything that's just being thrown in our faces. It's funny that your mom said it that way because it's not that. I mean, I feel like my mom has a really large social circle and
Mhm,
her family, but they made a choice to not talk to each other about what actually was going on and what it might have felt like. So maybe that's part of it too. We
mhm.
really value friendship and maybe this is only true for certain subsets of that generation, particularly, immigrants. And I don't know. I can't speak to all of that, but I know that my mom definitely was not sharing how difficult things may or may not have been for her or issues she was having with us or our like that didn't leave our house. I don't think I would let my mom listen to this still because she would be like, why are you saying this out loud to the world? She's definitely blocked from this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there was definitely, especially around, motherhood, fertility, all of those topics, there was definitely this like veil that millennial women really took down. We are the ones who put conversations about like postpartum depression and miscarriage and infertility and all of these TMI taboo topics on the table, which, I don't think we get enough credit for personally. Because millennial women, I think, have like really moved the needle around parenting and women's health. And that's part of the impetus here, right? Like, we are millennial women who talk about everything, even the stuff we're not supposed to talk about. And so now I think we want to take the conversation to the place that people haven't really gotten into yet, which is this conversation about being in the sandwich generation and being a caregiver to your kids and also to your parents at the same time, and how that is not uniquely a millennial struggle, but it's more of a millennial issue for so many reasons, right? Like, we had kids later in life, so many of us had older parents.
And people are living longer.
People are living longer. A lot of our parents, haven't been able to retire the way their parents were able to and help out with kids, which affects how we parent as well. And the village and has really kind of crumbled for a lot of people.
Take a step back and say, so what is the sandwich generation? What does that mean? So like there's a lot of us who are in this sandwich. And what does that actually mean?
So the sandwich generation, by definition, and there's varying definitions, but I think the most sort of like concrete definition is that you are raising children while also having a parent over age 65. Obviously, as we know, that's kind of like a reductive definition because you can absolutely be caring for a parent who is younger than 65, who the experience of being in the sandwich generation really varies from person to person. And I think a lot of us think that you're only in the sandwich generation if you are like feeding and changing and bathing a parent and providing that sort of really hands on care.
To be sick, which is not the case.
Yeah, sick or like disabled or something like that. But as we all know, I mean, care comes in many different forms. A lot of care work is invisible work and it can look any number of ways, like, researching a doctor for your parent to go and visit if they're having a health concern, or downloading apps on their phone to make their life easier, or ordering them adaptive clothing or walkers or devices,
Even just
or
like planning your holidays around seeing parents. Like
Mhm,
that's something I mean, there's so much conversation around the mental load of motherhood, but
mhm,
no one's really talking about the mental load of daughterhood also. We talk about it with motherhood, with our partners, but there is so much that if you have a relationship with your parent, or even if you don't, even if you are grieving a parent, you're still very much a daughter. Even if that doesn't have anywhere to go, or even if you're not even living in the same city, there's so much care work that people don't count as care work that is undoubtedly taking a toll on your brain, your body, how you live your life. So yeah, if you're even saying, "Oh, I need to check in with my dad about whatever. I need to call my mom and make sure they'll be in town for this date." That we if you're the one doing that, that all counts as caring.
mhm. Yeah, and I think we have seen a lot of this narrative of like, I don't want my kids to feel like they need to care for me. And it's like, okay, but do you want your kids to care about you? Because if they care about you, they will probably care for you in some capacity, even if it's not caring for you when you can't feed yourself
Right.
or
I think we posted on one of our socials, we posted something about, we were talking about caring and aging parents and how our children might show up for us when we're older. And there was a comment that was like, well, I don't want my kids to be burdened with caring for me. I just want them to find me a nice assisted living facility.
also caring.
Exactly. So let's unpack that a little bit. I hear that you don't want to burden your children. So we're already kind of framing love, familial love and parental love and care as a burden, which maybe we need to unpack that in ourselves a little bit. And care as we get older to mean things that would require assisted living. So we're thinking medications or not being able to get around or meals or things like that. But I responded to that saying, I mean, as a geriatrician, a big piece of my everyday work is even more than talking to my patients, it's talking to their loved ones who are caring for them. And a big, very high cognitive task is finding a nice assisted living facility. That's not
Yeah.
nothing. That's time, that's money, that's effort, and knowing that's, thinking about, okay, I know my loved one, I know my mom, I know what she would like and not like. I know what would geographically make sense. How often do I want to be there? Who else can be there? There's just so many things there's so many things that are involved in it's not just we reduce a lot of the care we're already doing and not counting it as care. And that's the conversation I think we need to have more about, things that we don't count as care are absolutely care. It's fine if you don't want to have your kids be the one to keep you at home forever and change you, feed you, whatever when you can't, if you ever get to that point. Maybe you don't, but
Mhm.
we should just be having conversations about what that looks like. What if you care about, like you said, if you want your kids to care about you, what does that look like? And what are we already doing that's showing our kids how we expect and how we are teaching them to care about other human beings?
Yeah. I think just like we finally started having conversations about the invisible load of motherhood and how much invisible work goes into it, I think it's time that we start having these conversations about the invisible work of daughtering. Obviously, I am not saying that sons don't provide caregiving. I'm sure there are families where the sons are doing more or only sons are a thing. But the data pretty clearly shows that women are taking on disproportionate amounts of care work for elders as well, just like they are taking on disproportionate work in parenting. So I think that's something that we need to talk about. Obviously, we are also women, so we can kind of speak to that experience in a different way. But yeah, I think it's just time we kind of unpack the invisible work of daughtering too.
Yeah. I think if someone is listening to this thinking, "Oh my gosh, this is so me," what can we probably what is probably true about her life? You're probably in your late 30s, early 40s. Maybe you're a mom, maybe you're a daughter, probably both. What else do you think is true about somebody who would relate to all of this?
And you probably put a lot of pressure on yourself. You're probably high achieving and you've probably been praised a lot for how much you've achieved in your career or in academics, but you're probably also really high achieving in motherhood and daughterhood also, and in your marriage and in your friendships. And you probably don't get a lot of recognition for how much you put into that stuff. You're also probably used to like very tangible reward systems like good grades or promotions or good feedback from your manager. And you're probably feeling a little bit lost from the fact that you don't get a lot of that in your personal relationships. And you're probably really nostalgic, like we are.
Yes. Everyone always talks about how millennials are obsessed with nostalgia. Well, yeah.
You would be too if you grew up
Yes.
in the 90s.
Exactly. There's so many reasons for that too, because hello, have you like looked around at the current day? Like
Hmm.
what's actually happening? Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things to be nostalgic for. We were talking about this recently. Like some of the time when I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so stretched thin, I can't do a single extra thing for me or someone else. I find myself just like daydreaming about being a kid
Hmm.
and being not even taken care of. But when I think about feeling carefree, I think about myself sitting in front of a TV, watching TGIF at my grandma's house or just
Yeah.
being and not
Going to
having,
Blockbuster.
yeah, just there was such a routine to it that somehow was universal, even though we didn't have the internet to tell us all what we were doing. But yeah, we were just kind of living a nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I don't think we were like completely carefree even then, especially you and me. I think we've always been a little anxious, but compared to how much we're managing mentally and emotionally now, it was Very simple.
Yeah.
When Y2K panic was like the most stressful thing we'd ever encountered.
I think about that all the time. There are so many things like that I think about all the time. Also, the tropes of the things we used to watch on TV, like, did they all just get together and decide that they needed to make an episode about quicksand? Why was there so much quicksand? I've never encountered quicksand. Like, there was every episode of TV, someone got caught in quicksand.
It was like it was quicksand, it was like getting hooked on benign drug like a caffeine pill.
Or like the getting your head stuck in the that was a real fear. The head stuck in the railings. Even now, I'm like, "Oh, no, my kid's head is gonna get stuck in the railing, and I will have to butter her head to try to get it out," because, of course, that's the only
Yeah.
solution. You gotta get the country crock all over their head and slide them out.
Or like a 10-year-old getting into the car and driving into the house.
And
That
the
was
ear
a big
piercing,
one.
everyone was piercing their own is that a thing? Like, I don't know, we both are Indian. We got our ears pierced, like, as babies.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what
straight
I
out
don't
the
know what
womb,
people are
yeah.
doing ears pierced wise. Like, why are you having your friend do it? You should be doing this. You should have done this, like, when you were 6 weeks old, like
I
a
know.
normal person. Duh.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have strong feelings about that, but don't knock our culture.
So, uh, so I think we all agree that life is hard, motherhood is hard, daughterhood is hard. Existing between the ages of 30 and 45 or whatever is hard. And then what? I don't think we need to stop at just naming that feeling. Like, how do we do this well, or at least survive it together? And that's kind of how we got here to this point, creating this space. Because we're overachievers. We want to know how to do a better job at doing a bad job.
Maybe we also talk about how we decided to do this and also the fact that it's been probably like 2 years in the making,
Yeah,
right?
that's
We
crazy.
started talking about it a
Yeah,
long
I
time
remember
ago.
mentioning it was like a little thing in my brain that was not it was I didn't even think it was gonna be a podcast. I remember
Yeah,
saying to you, "There's something here," because every
yeah.
time I'm talking to my friends, we're always talking about our kids or our parents and how hard this space is, but no one seems to be talking about that on a larger scale. So and I remember saying that to you, and you were like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, I was just saying this to, like, another like, let's do it." And, we're crazy. Instead of looking for that space. I mean, I think we did look for that space, and it wasn't there for our generation. There's a lot about the sandwich generation for older generations, because traditionally, the sandwich generation is associated with,
Is older.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, like,
yeah.
we're here, and yeah, we have a lot on our plates and we feel really stressed, and so does everyone. So, what better way to deal with that stress than to start a podcast and do a whole other project? And yeah, I can tell you that my family is thrilled about me doing another thing.
My family doesn't know that I'm doing this.
I'm so excited about this space because I really think that we all need it, even just talking to each other about the struggles that we feel are and feeling like we're all feeling the same thing, having these conversations together, is going to be really helpful. So, what questions are we trying to answer while we're here?
I think we bring a lot of expertise to the table, which I know is hard for both of us to say out loud, but we do. I mean, your expertise in elder care, my expertise in parenting and those dynamics. I think we also know what we don't know. I really have no idea about the economic piece of this. And I know that there are many, many, many millennials and, other people in the sandwich generation who are literally going broke because of caregiving costs. So, I would love to offer some advice to those people, advice on just navigating a really complex medical system, advice on things like self care, which is something that people are always telling us we need, but we don't really know how to get there. And then, yeah, and I think when we started talking about this project 2 years ago, we initially thought of it as a way to really bring our knowledge and other experts' knowledge to people. But I think what we realized in having a lot of preliminary conversations was that we didn't want to just educate people. We also wanted to entertain them We also really want to lean into the millennial nostalgia of it all. We hope that we can make you feel better about being in the sandwich generation and feel less alone instead of feeling like this is one more thing for you to stress about. I think we just want everyone to feel like this is a community and a safe space to talk about what it's really like to be juggling all these different responsibilities while like daydreaming about being a 10-year-old and watching Boy Meets World on your parents' couch.
Yes. Yeah, I think we do not claim to have all the answers.
Mhm.
Like you said, we know what we don't know. And hopefully we can all be on this journey together trying to figure it out and talking to the people who might know about some of the things we don't know about and getting there together.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think if you and I feel like we have no idea what we're doing, I imagine everybody does. So hopefully we can all find the answers together and also just laugh and be nostalgic and just be girls, We're just girls together.
Literally just girls. All right. So let's not to make it sound totally overwhelming and a dark space. What's something that has gotten better for you lately? What's something you've learned to let go of that has made your life easier?
Not so much something that I've learned to let go of, but my social life has gotten better recently. I was just thinking about this. I feel like 7 years postpartum, I have finally kind of found myself socially again, which has been really nice. What about you?
For me, it's dinner. Like, just stopped caring about dinner. I hate making dinner, and I'll be honest, I am not the one who's making dinner. It is my husband makes dinner, but I'm doing the dinner planning. So he's not like coming up with like, what am I making? And which is super helpful, but also like, I don't care. Like, my kids will eat, they're not going to eat what I make them anyway. So they're probably not getting the most nutritious food, but letting go of my expectations of dinner sounds like such a small thing, but it's really made a big difference in my day-to-day thinking. They're getting some food, they're not hungry, the end. They're okay. They definitely get nutrition, they're not starving, and they're fine. This is super hard to explain to my mom. I have to say to her. She's like, "What do you mean they're not eating like 5 plates of varied vegetables and you're not forcing them to eat all of their food?" But
It's
sometimes
the
I
opposite for
yeah.
me. Yeah,
Really?
I'm like, no, mom, you can't give my child a roti with butter and sugar for dinner.
They can come to my house because that's probably what they're having. Yeah. Yeah, the social life thing is so important. We talk about
Yeah.
this all the time. It's really hard, and I love being at home. I love being at home. I am in some ways extroverted, but, there's nothing more I love than sitting on my couch in sweats.
Hmm.
I don't like to leave my house. And on the other end, when I see older adults living well and not just being alive. When I say living well, I mean they're walking, they're doing things for themselves, they're enjoying things, they know what's going on around them. When I ask them about their life, it's pretty unanimous. Like they have maintained their social circles. So when I feel sometimes I'm like, oh, why do I don't need to like go out and actually I do. That is just as important as exercising and eating well is maintaining friendships. And maybe that's something I say to myself to justify how I have a lot. I love my friends. I go out a lot. I leave my kids a lot to have dinner with my friends, and I'm not really sorry because I feel like that's something I'm doing for myself and for them in 40 years because
Yeah.
I will not just be leaning on them. I've really cultivated those relationships that I know that I will have.
Yeah, and I would also say to anyone who's listening to this and feeling like they don't have that and like they're failing because they don't have that, it might just not be the time for you to have the thriving social life right now. That might come later. I think for me, my social life was kind of on pause for a little while because I had 2 little kids who were home with me 24/7, and at the end of the day, I could not handle any more social interaction, and I needed time to myself. But now I've kind of come out of that phase, and I'm much more, able to have a social life, and I have the energy to show up for friends in a different way. So I would say don't feel guilty if you spend a lot of time with your friends, but also don't feel guilty if you don't.
Yes. And maintaining friendships doesn't always mean going out like for a night on the town and like leaving. Sometimes it's literally just text my best friend who lives across the state, like, hey, miss you. That's it.
Mhm.
It's the
Yeah.
whole that's the whole thing. Sometimes we don't respond for 2 weeks and it's fine. I'm still making that connection. It's the feeling of thinking outside of yourself and knowing that you have some community outside of just you. That's what's making your brain, I don't want to say tricking your brain, but I actually like would much prefer to sit on the couch and eat snacks in silence with my friends than do a whole thing. Like we need more couch friends. So that's
Yeah.
the kind of friendship that I want to invest in. Somebody who will come over to my messy house and sit there. There are no plans. There's no I mean, half the time it is like planning 4 months in advance.
Yeah.
Because even for this, we've
Life.
had to
Yeah.
reschedule this several times because of either a kid or a parent
Mm.
needing something. That's just how it is. And that's
It's
fine.
how it is. Yeah. And I think we have to have grace for each other too, you know? As much as I really don't like the cancel plans culture where people are like, I love it when someone cancels plans. Life happens. And I think we have to be respectful of each other's time, but also like give people grace because sometimes there truly is nothing that can be done and you just have to reschedule.
Yes. And also, all of us who say that we love canceling plans, be honest with yourself. When a plan is canceled, what do? You probably fill it in with something on your to-do list or
Hmm.
something else that you should be no, I really don't believe that, especially if you're an eldest daughter. You're not just like, "Oh, I have nothing to do now, so I'm gonna do nothing." We just don't do
Yeah.
that.
As we mentioned, millennials are hopelessly nostalgic. We are all obsessed with the pop culture that we grew up with. So we thought it would be fun to end this episode with a little game, rapid fire, if you will, featuring our favorite nostalgic TV characters.
All right, a little rapid fire TV nostalgia. Okay. What nostalgic TV character would you add to your group chat?
Lizzie McGuire, hands down.
A good one. I had Ashley from Fresh Prince.
Which TV mom would you trust to babysit your kids?
Ooh, Harriet from Family Matters. How about you?
I think I would say Amy Matthews.
What TV dad would you trust to call in a crisis?
Danny Tanner, because he would take care of business and he would clean it up too. And then he would, like, leave us with some inspirational words. What about you?
I would choose Alan Matthews, especially if I joined a cult. He would be there. He would be there to save me.
Which nostalgic TV character is probably crushing it as a mom in millennial mom culture?
Stephanie Shanner. How about
Yeah,
you?
I would say Monica Geller.
And
Honestly, like, the most unrealistic thing about Friends is the fact that Monica was not the eldest.
yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Add that to IMDb. Inconsistency. What about as a dad? Who would be crushing it as a dad? Eric
Eric
Matthews.
Matthews. Yeah.
All right. So we hope you had fun with us for this first episode. Some of our episodes are going to feel heavier than others. We're going to try to keep it light and entertaining, but you know, this is hard and it might not always feel super light and funny, but we're glad you're here and hopefully we can learn and grow together.
Yeah, and let us know if you guys like the rapid fire at the end. Maybe that's a way for us to leave you on a happier note after talking about some really hard things. So, thank you guys for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed. Give us any feedback you have. We're all in this together, so we are open to hearing from you guys. And yeah, thank you.
All right. See you next time.